Hello, this is Stephen Allen. Yes, we are back with yet another Batman 66 episode review. Today, we'll be reviewing the episode The Bloody Tower, the third part in this Season 3 three-parter. So without any further ado, let's head into the final part of this review. We begin the episode with finding out Batman and Robin have managed to find their way out of the fog within the winch room of the Tower Bridge. They then find their way to Alfred near the Batmobile, and realize that they have to head their way to Lord Marmaduke Ffogg's manor in order to rescue Batgirl and hopefully take down Lord Marmaduke Ffogg once and for all. On their way, and as a result, they head into the Batmobile, but they suggest Robin stop at Alfred's cab that he's been using throughout this three-parter, and he and Alfred would go on that, and he goes in the Batmobile first to the manor, where they'll each go in separately, hoping to throw the gang off guard. Opening credit, and then we head back into the episode. We then find Lord Marmaduke Ffogg and Lady Penelope Peasoup down in the dungeon with Batgirl, and plan to kill her off by throwing some essentially pellets into the dungeon. We then find Batman, Robin, and Alfred all at Fog Manor. Robin goes in first, but one of the henchmen spots him coming through and essentially calls up all the other henchmen, and this gets Fogg's attention when he gets the call. They then send Prudence to distract Robin, when we see Robin get tripped over by a wire that opens a beehive, and the bee lands on Robin's arm, and essentially the bee will sting him as it's very poisonous. We then see Batman enter through too, and the henchmen also see him and call Lord Marmaduke Ffogg. And as a result, Ffogg and Lady Penelope Peasoup head back to the dungeon where Batgirl is, but find out that the pellets haven't worked, and they get a new batch to try it out. And just as that's happening, Peasoup is then getting worried because Batman, is on their way. But however, he says the henchman will handle it. But when he gets a call that Batman has gotten away from the henchmen and knows that they'll be coming into here, he and Peasoup hide. Batman makes his way into this part of the establishment and into the dungeon, where he is pushed down and the pellets are thrown and locked, realizing that their troubles are almost over when Robin is killed. And it turns out the bee has stung Robin, but it turns out that he's only fake being stung and is actually alive. He then's taken up to the gold dormitory, where we find out that he actually used one of his antidote pills to prevent him from being stung to death. Alfred has also made his way into the mansion, but for some reason the goons don't know he's there. And he's also overhearing Lord Marmaduke Ffogg talking with his sister to steal the crown jewels, and also how they have a plane ready to, for them to make their getaway to a country where there's no extradition treaty. We then, of course, head to Superintendent Watson's office, where Watson, Gordon, meet up with an old friend, Harriet Cooper. And sadly, this will be the last time Madge Blake will be playing Harriet Cooper throughout the show. This is her last appearance, and the little moment we have is all to be cherished when seeing this. It's really fun. And eventually, we then cut to the dungeon where Batman is using a spray to de-spray the fog, and then uses a bat file to cut her chains. We then see Alfred run out along with Robin. We're talking to them, and he's informed where Batgirl and Batman are because he heard Ffogg tell him where they are, and immediately tells him to pretty much get in contact with Watson and Gordon. We then see that Gordon gives Ffogg a phone call because Barbara hasn't turned up, and thinking that Barbara might be there, says he'll be there right away. Realizing that Ffogg, Peasoup, the henchmen, the girls, and Prudence quickly need to make their getaway to get to the crown jewels before it's too late. Also, Prudence also tells them that Robin is not dead, but alive because he took the antidote pill. Just as Batman has freed Batgirl, they try to make their way out of the dungeon door, but it's blocked. They then use one of the most clearly silly ways of getting out by using the old Indian rope trick to climb their way up to the top and get out of the dungeon because there was a hole there. Robin manages to run into them and tells them where Ffogg is heading, and the trio immediately head to the Tower of Londinium to prevent Ffogg from stealing the crown jewels. We then head to the crown jewels, and Jesus, this set is really badly done, really is. But the jewels are pretty priceless. Just as Ffogg, his sister, his daughter, and all the girls are about to steal the jewels, Batman and Robin arrive to stop them. He then orders his henchmen to come in, and the bat fight breaks out. I really like the choreography here. It's fun, it's energy, and just when Ffogg and Prudence and Peasoup are about to make their escape, Batgirl blocks them. Lord Ffogg is about to use his Piper Fog, but thanks to a device by Batman, a reverse pipe fog, which actually reverses it, preventing him from making his escape. Just as that happened, Watson, Gordon, and all his men come in to apprehend them. It is revealed that Prudence was playing on both sides to become the ruler of Fog Place alone, but her plans have now been backfired. Once again, Batgirl has made her disappearance, and they wonder where she's gone. Just as when they're about to go to have a cup of tea, Barbara turns up, and saying that she will explain to Gordon, well, her dad, where she's been, and they have a absolute look on at the crown jewels. We end the episode with Batman, Robin, Gordon, and Chief O'Hara back in his office, where they're getting a personal phone call from the president thanking for his assistance, where he's offered to go to his own personal ranch, barbecue, and asked to bring the Batmobile, but he says that he to try and arrange time for it, but realize that none have the time for it, and sadly has to regretfully decline the offer, even though he was pretty, admired that he was even considered it. As a result, however, because this is the final bit, we need to find out who next week's villain is. So as a result, he's given a phone call saying that Catwoman is on the premises and is stealing the mini uniforms. Batman and Robin try to chase her, but she's quickly made her escape. Can't wait for that week's episode. The cast is here is all fine. I like how Alfred is really what helped everyone get saved at the end, and pretty much is the saving grace of, essentially defeating the villain's plan, with Robin, Batman, and Batgirl essentially getting captured and having to find their way out. If it wasn't for Alfred for finding out pretty much most of this, I think it probably would have, stopped the episode. Gordon and Hara pretty much get very little screen time, as it's really dedicated to the main crime fighters, but also the villain. Lord Marmaduke Ffogg, for me, is an okay, fun villain. Not bad, not good, somewhere in the middle. I like the design of the character. His aristocratic bloodline makes him feel superior, above everyone. Even though it's probably not done as much, it's an interesting fact. But again, and a unique gimmick. My problem is his motivation as to why, not fully explained. Now, despite me liking this character, I had to do some research behind the scenes, and everyone hated working with Rudy. According to Adam West, he was one of those 3 actors he couldn't stand working. There was Rudy, there was Otto Preminger, and of course Milton Berle. Well, kind of Milton, and I'll explain that in the Louis the Lilac episode, in the second Louis the Lilac episode later in this season. It's not surprising he didn't come back, as it was clearly meant, it was both a one-shot, and was clearly meant for Batman to really go across the pond, but I would not have minded him coming back, have him go to America and cause trouble, as revenge on Batman for essentially ruining his capers up in England, Londinium, which would be fun as well, as a fun addition. It was fun. Lady Penelope Peasoup is okay. Again, she's clearly in the same veins of Lola Lasagna, clearly for the villain to play off, and she is fun, she is okay, and Johns here really does a good job of what she's given. Now, but however, unlike Rudy, she was a delight on set, and of course, this is also her last appearance. She will not be coming back, and she was a fun while she was around. I will not deny that. Prudence here, her endgame was to essentially become the ruler of Fog Place, and she was willing to pretty much sell out her own dad and pretty much double-cross everyone to get what she wants. I also liked during the 3-parter that she clearly did not like Lady Peasoup at all. And her character arc is pretty fun and entertainable in this 3-parter. I like it. Watson here is kind of like the British version of Gordon. However, unlike Gordon, I view him to be a more competent cop. Granted, maybe at the beginning he wasn't on Batman, well, believing Batman and Fog was involved, but later, when he realized he went around to Batman's side quite as easily. If they were to bring Ffogg back, but sadly they're not because, as we know, this is the final season, I would not mind him somehow playing a role. We've seen this actor before. He actually appeared in the movie, the Batman 66 movie, as the representative of essentially the United Kingdom, but also during the Chad and Jeremy episode he appeared. So it's a little nice note there. Of course, this episode would sadly mark the last time we would see Mark Blake as Aunt Harriet. It's a sad fact she would not come back, but understanding that she was in ill health at the time, her health was rapidly deteriorating, she couldn't stand an episode by episode, so she appeared in a few cameos. This is her really last appearance, and it's a real shame that we didn't get to see her more this season. But understand what it was. This episode should be noted as a final appearance. Interesting, we have a teaser for next week's villain, Catwoman, this time portrayed by a different actress, Eartha Kitt. Find out more when we review that episode. The Bloody Tower for me is a good conclusion to this episode. I still have some gripes, mostly due to the budget and some of the backgrounds and sets really the main fault for these three. I don't mind them and enjoy them. The villains are fun and okay. And it's definitely, this three-parter, despite its flaws, is definitely, I consider, superior to the Penguin and Marsha three-parter, but it's definitely nowhere near the Joker and Penguin three-parter. For me, this is a fun episode nonetheless. There we have it. That was the Bloody Tower. Join us next time when the dynamic trio go up against the Catwoman. So tune in to the next Steven Hour, the next Steven channel. Ladies and gentlemen, so long for now.